the top, first and foremost. Wow, beautiful.
But I was excited because, obviously with men's health awareness, this is something that, I'm very, very adamant about, just mindfulness. And I think the biggest thing in this year has proven it, right? Like everyone goes through things, and a lot of times we try to take on everything and think we got to be everything for everybody. But it's okay knowing that you don't have all the answers. So this conversation is something I was looking forward to, and I know that you provide some really great perspective as well.
Well, I love the way you've just dived straight in. No
Yeah.
messing around. Like, and this is what we're here to do. Like, I joke, but this is what we're here to do. I think that there is this new age of movement coming in about, what is a man, and can men be vulnerable? Can men talk? Can men share their emotions? Like, what is this about? And I think, it's beautiful for us to have these kind of conversations. Men that, well, you're an ex-athlete,
Yeah.
you've lived in that highly masculine world, and for me it's really important to see people like you stand up and say, hey, yeah, sure, I'm a man, I'm an athlete, I've done a lot of this, stereotypically alpha masculine sports, but
Yeah.
I'm also here to represent the other side of masculinity in talking, and being open and sharing my emotions and showing what I feel, and showing that a man is more than just, the old stoic kind of, we got this, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's something that I've definitely learned a lot over the course of the last few years, on what it truly means to be a man. But also, it comes with that vulnerability. It comes with the confidence, and I think the biggest thing and where I've made the biggest growth, because I mean, life right now it's pretty wild, but it's amazing. There's been challenges within it, but they've been things that have helped myself grow, my family grow. I'm starting a new chapter in my life that I couldn't be more excited about. And one thing that I've learned is, like, I don't have to have all the answers, and sometimes you make mistakes here and there, but it's also, especially within my relationship, just the biggest thing has been being able to communicate openly, and just know that we all go through different things, and that's okay. Nobody's perfect. And I'm learning a lot more each and every day. But this is an exciting time, for me in my life, and I know that the next few months ahead, and even building, like, I'll be that much stronger mentally, just by opening up and being prepared to even just have the simple conversations.
Hmm. Speaking of which, like the simplest of all conversations, but a question that I really want to ask you, because like you just touched on, I don't, obviously I'm here in London, so I don't know everything that's going on in your world, but I know there's a lot. I know it's a pretty frantic time. So I
Yeah.
want to start with like a question that I think is the most important question that we can possibly ask anyone, but one that us men are not great at either asking truly, honestly, and sincerely, either asking or answering. And that is really simply like, how are you feeling like right
Yeah.
now? There's a lot going on. What's going on
Yeah.
inside of you?
Honestly, feeling I'm feeling like I'm happy. I'm excited. I feel like there's kind of a fire lit within me that I haven't had in a long, long time. And honestly, like I feel emotions again for a long time. And I think there's a lot of things that I've learned, especially over the course of the last year, or even just opened up to and had conversations about, that have definitely helped me grow. And while with anything, um, there's unknown variables, but I'm freaking excited, and I think also knowing that right now, in personal life, business, my health, I've got great people in my corner, and I'm not alone. And that's the number one thing. And I've definitely had to put pride aside in different instances, um, and just understand that, like, it's okay to lean on those people for love, support. It's okay to make a mistake. Like, if you have that support system, or if you're willing to use it, it's a game changer. So I'm good. You know, I have so many people in my corner. Like I said, this is a new chapter in my life that, like, I'm fucking excited. Part
Mm.
Oh, I swear. Yeah, whatever. That's real. That's how I am.
It's real. It's real. And I love what you say there because for me, like I'm a huge advocate of vulnerability and kind of rewording that, but actually a big or re-understanding the perspective of what that word means. But what
Mhm.
you just said there for me is also quite vulnerable because in today's world, like if we kind of say, "Hey, I'm pretty good," like people are ready to chop us down. You know, we
Yeah.
live in, there's a big culture around that, and it's a vulnerable act to own the fact that, hey, I'm in a pretty good space right now, and I'm pretty happy, and I feel good. You know, so
Yeah.
I love hearing that. It's real.
Yeah. No, I really am. I think like there's when you care, and this is like I care. I don't, especially with the people I love and care about, my family, career, things I work hard for. I definitely care about. So sometimes I'll overthink and overanalyze things, and it's more so just because I really want to understand and make the right decision. I always talk about prudence, making the right decision. But I've also learned that like, look, you can't be right all the time, but if you're morally strong, if you know that you're doing your best, and I always say that I would never want to compromise my integrity as a man. Like I can go to sleep and wake up each and every day, and that's what's really held me through. So it's a learning experience. It's okay to make mistakes, but at the end of the day, again, like I don't know, I'm willing to make those mistakes, and I think that's also saying a lot.
Mm. And there's a lot of bravery in that. And also sense like a lot of freedom. Like, you
Yeah,
know, if like as men traditionally, like there's a big part of us that doesn't want to make mistakes. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to be like the loser, the one who doesn't win, or the one who is embarrassed or kind of fails, you know, like we're not succeeding, we're not thriving. It's a very masculine energy. But
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of pressure on living that way as a man. And if we can sit in a space where we go, do you know what? Hey, listen, I'm not perfect, and I don't think anyone is, and I'm going to make mistakes along the way. I don't intend to hurt people or to be bad. I'll show up with my integrity and to be aligned with who I really want to be. But along the way, I will make mistakes, and I'm sorry if I do. That's freedom, you
yeah,
know, and that allows us the freedom to show up ourselves and to not take on the burden and the weight of needing to be perfect.
yeah,
Do you feel that? Because I've heard you say it a lot, you know?
yeah. I really do, and it's funny because I grew up in South Dakota, small town, and I was always worried about not necessarily my image, but protecting my family's image. Like like every family, we had our own things. It was we were dealing with different things, just with it was an environment where we had to really fight for respect and to be ingrained into that community, and whether that's through racial things or social class things, whatever anyone wants to put on it. But I always had this thing, like I loved my family so much, and I knew what we had was so rare within our family. I never wanted anyone on the outside world to think negatively of them. And all the way through college, all the way up, like I just wanted to protect them. But I almost like I would take on so much stress because you can't please everyone. You know what I mean? Everyone's going to have an opinion. And when you try to make everyone else happy and you get consumed by that, like you're never going to win. And I've seen those things, even today and even through sports and, my time here in New York City. But now like it's interesting because surprisingly, like, people would think I'd be so much more like consumed by things right now, but I'm truly not. And I think I don't think I know the number one reason is a sense of self, sense of, intention, moral compass, all those things. But also, I've learned to accept the fact that I've got people in my corner that love and care about me. And like at the end of the day, the people that matter don't mind, and the people that mind don't matter. Or, you know, and there's just some things you can't control. When you try to control everything, it
It's
ain't working.
tiring.
It ain't working. It ain't working.
For sure, for sure. And I really want to talk to you about vulnerability, you know,
Yeah.
because traditionally, like, you know, if I ask the average guy in the street, you know, do you want to be vulnerable? You know, the natural response, and I get this, would be like, no, like I want to be secure, right? And I get that. And so I think the word just naturally, like, men are kind of will step away from, I don't want any form of vulnerability, you know, and I
Yeah.
hear it in a sporting context. People say, oh, they're vulnerable out wide, or they're vulnerable in this bit or that bit, and it's all very negative.
Yep.
But I don't think we ever talk about, well, us men really dive into what the benefits of being vulnerable are.
Hmm.
And, I sense that in you already in what you're
Yeah.
saying. Can you tell me a little bit about what vulnerability means to you?
I think there's a responsibility in it, to be honest. And the reason I say that is because um, I'm really big on reflection, um, and I want to understand my emotions and how I'm feeling and really why I'm feeling a certain way. And to try to act like you're always good and like your shit don't stink or different things like that, it's you're doing yourself a disservice. So I think it's a responsibility to yourself to really try to get in touch and in tune with it, with your feelings, your emotions, and know that where those are coming from, but also just understand, like, odds are you're not the only one going through it. We magnify the situations that we're in life, and I'm the king of doing this because I don't want to disrespect anyone. I don't want anyone to feel bad. I don't want to seem weak, but that's just not. It's a you're it's an uphill battle, and you'll never win it. So when I say responsibility, I think it's a responsibility to yourself, and that's the number one thing, because I always said, like, you can't fully love or appreciate anything if you don't love and appreciate yourself. And that comes with, you know, having a little bit of self-realization, and for me, kind of letting go of control. And that also comes with a big thing in trust, because that's one thing. If I'm down for you, or if I commit to a team or a project or anything, like, I'm all in and my trust is there. But um, over a period of time, sometimes your guard gets pulled up, but you got to still be willing to put yourself out there, again and again. And from a man's conversation, it's amazing how frequently, like, I have these conversations with all my friends, all my male friends, and because I've been willing to have them, they've been way more open to having them, and our relationships have gotten better. I have these in my personal relationships. I go to my fiance for absolutely everything, even if I feel like it's not the even if I feel stupid for doing it, but I know that that's a responsibility that I have to a relationship in, like, all facets of life, my friends, my family, and everything. And I think that just goes back to a trust thing as well.
Yeah, without trust, it's very hard to be vulnerable, right? We only, if we feel safe enough, then we can let ourselves be seen. And
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing in
yeah,
itself. And we all need friends like that, where we can feel safe enough to say, listen, like, there's a few challenges going on. Can we talk about this? And I don't care whether you're a man or a woman, like, it's healthy to rather than bury the stuff and let it swirl around. And, because it's what we do as human beings, and we create all these and it becomes heavy and heavy, to actually just be able to have a conversation with someone and say, hey, listen, this is what I'm feeling right now, and it's a bit challenging.
uh-huh,
Like, can we talk about it a bit?
yeah,
It's like one of the simplest, if we're talking about mental health, which, it's
yeah,
November, and like, it's a tool. It's
yeah,
something that we can all use.
yeah. And that's something that's okay. Like, for the long, just to say I'm not okay, or to say I'm okay, I'm great, but no one wants to say I'm not okay. No one wants to say I'm going through it right now. And that has a negative connotation. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean that you're checked out, or this is natural human behavior. And I've definitely had to learn that. And honestly, like, I've been so fortunate because I've had, in my personal relationship, like with my fiance, has pulled that out of me and created that safe space. Um, so but it's a hard thing to do, especially from my perspective. I have always provided for my family and been the man of the house and all these things at a young age. And granted, my it's just like, so to it wasn't acceptable in my mind to not be okay at times, or that I always thought the world doesn't care. And that's false. If you create that environment and you create that in your head, of course it's going to seem that way, because that's all you're going to allow. Either like, that's all you're going to see. perception is everything. So
Mm. And would you say like what happens to your relationship? Let's say you're having a challenge and you sit with your fiance and you have this conversation and you share that this is what's going on right now and it's tough, it's not the best day. Do you find that you're kind of judged for that and it's like, okay, come talk to me when you got something fun to say. You sit there and it brings you closer.
I think just in a general perspective, I found there's a fine line, right? Like I'm pretty good at just saying how I feel. Some days I'll check out and it's not that I'm not comfortable talking about things. Sometimes I just need my time, right?
Mm.
But more times than not, when I've just been open, authentic, real in the moment, it's always served me well. And I think that even happens with decision making too. Like when they say follow your gut, it's just like instinct. It's not forced. Something's right or something's off. But I think it's just like with anything. It's like practice, right? You got to practice everything. And over a period of time, you become more and more and more comfortable. But also, the environments you're in, I'm a firm believer in environments, both physically, but mentally, the environments you create in your head, those create a safe space. So, I don't know. I feel comfortable at this game to be myself. I've learned, and it's taken some time, especially in all these things. Like, no one has to tell me the type of human being I am because I know, and I've known it for a long, long time. And I know the relationships I have and how I treat people, and I know the type of man I am. So people's opinions never really mattered that much. And also having a support system and having so much clarity and understanding within that and trust has made it so it's like you got like who cares?
Mhm. Yeah, totally, and that's a liberating way to live. I definitely find from my own experience that in the past I always wanted to bring the positive to my relationships, and that's all, because that's what I felt my duty was a little bit as
Yeah.
not just as a man but just as a person. Like, hey, I want to bring the positive energy. I don't want to be the in England we call it a Debbie Downer. I don't know if that's global or not, but yeah, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, the one who brings the tone down, the energy low. But actually, what I found in learning to sit in the space of being open and honest is
Yep.
that my relationships really grow. Like, I allow someone in to see me at like a deeper level, and actually they're like, "Thank God, like you're real. Thank God, like there's some you're able to feel this stuff, and you're able to be brave enough to express it with me, and to allow yourself to be seen. Like
Yeah.
that it's not all perfect. That there is challenges with you too. For me, I've always found that like they're the relationships that I want to have, like where someone can see me not only just at my best when I'm always bringing positivity, but someone can also see me with my challenges and that it's not always easy too. That's a relationship for me,
Yeah.
rather than having to put on the mask of, hey, this is me all the time, I'm great.
Yeah. And I think even when you look at like I say relationship and I'm talking about all relationships, right? Like I
Mm.
care into every aspect. And, coming from even through college and high school and sports and all these things, it was just like and especially when things are like a business, you have like it kind of takes some of that personal and that emotion out of it because it's like sometimes you can get callous, you can get hardened, you can become numb to different things. But I mean, over a period of time, again, like I said, like I've just had great people in my corner. I've made mistakes. I felt at times the lowest I've ever felt in my life. And then I realized like the next day you wake up and it's like it's not as bad as you thought. Or you find someone who has a little bit of empathy to the situation and it goes a long, long way. Um, and yeah, that's really where I'm at there.
Can I ask you about like you've got a beautiful energy of like just inner confidence about you where it's like, hey, listen, I know myself. I'm pretty good with who I am and how I show up, and I can sleep fairly comfortable with who I am and the
Yeah.
life that I'm living, and it kind of installs this energy that I feel of you where it's like, hey, this is me. You might like me, you might not, but this is me, and I'm pretty cool with that, and it's this real like lovely inner confidence.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you about like the difference between like that inner confidence and like a different kind of very like outwardly confident that,
Yeah.
you know, kind of who might strut around, but perhaps inside might not be feeling quite so good about themselves?
Yeah, it's like it's all show. There's no substance, or like if the difference between walking the walk and talking the talk and all those things.
Mm.
For me, the biggest thing that's ever helped me is when I've failed, and then I've realized it's not that bad to fail, and it's a learning experience. Also, like I've worked really hard. I work hard and value people, human beings. I value things in business. I value things, but like at the end of the day, respect is just a major thing for me. And I'm a firm believer that if you build any relationship and you build it right, and the core foundational pieces are what you're connected on, if it's with a business client, if it's like their mission statement or the pillars that they want to build their company culture around, or if it's a friendship where you're like-minded, those are the things that create a foundation that you can really build off of. But it's also understanding that when you're willing to speak to someone's core values but also express yours, like that's when you're really communicating. So I've always tried to align my people and myself around people that understand that. But I've also said that if you don't like it, it's okay, because your experience is different than mine. And if you're putting on this shell, you're sending mixed messages, or it's just a facade. Someone could be trying to see who you really are, and they're never going to get it. And that's, again, the growth over a period of time. And I talk about in all aspects of life, like health, wealth, relationships, it's all grown exponentially, simply from the standpoint that I was going to be me, do my thing. I was going to treat people with respect, but also if my heart wasn't in it, I wasn't doing it. I don't care how much money was involved with it. I'm turning the other cheek, and I'm fine. I'm not losing sleep over it, because I know at the end of the day, I'll be fine. But also I know at the end of the day that when that I'm comfortable living on my own terms, because I know I'm doing the right things the right way and treating people the right way.
Mm. That's beautiful. I think we do tend to live in a world that we're more worried about how we look than actually how we feel for many people. Like that's like society almost shows us that. It's like what life can you present to everyone? Forget about how you feel. Like how does it all look? And I've kind of over the years as I've grown up and dived deeper into myself, I've flipped that. It's like I want to live a life that feels good to me. And if
Mm-hmm.
other people look at it and think it's great, then that's cool. But if other people look at it and judge it for whatever, then that's fine, because I'm living to fill myself up and be in
Exactly.
tune with my how I feel, not
Yeah.
to impress you.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's so true. And I think so. I really, really went on a personal growth and development journey after sports, really trying to find myself. I was taking on a ton with family, and I was happy. Like I was doing great things, but I was never full. I still felt empty. I actually went back to school for continued education for personal growth and development, more so just for myself, but also I feel like it really put me in tune to finding other people who could really help me in this path and throughout life. Um, and it's amazing how that really has changed my world. But even being able to have these conversations, and I'll say, uh, I've been so fortunate to. And I think it's great to have people challenge you. I think that's a healthy thing. And I've also learned to where, I can be vulnerable and take a back seat in business, personal, with family. But I've also understood the importance of knowing when to assert yourself and have like a boundary and set that up. So this has just been a time of growth, bro. Like,
Mm,
and I always say, especially with pandemic, everything that's gone on, this has been the best year of my life.
mm,
And I know that And it's the people around me in every aspect in the same damn way. My family, even if they weren't working, my sister now has, took that time to reinvent. I spent more time with them. Now she's got a real estate license, something she's wanted to do for years. She focused on self, and to be able to help her and like push her a little bit to do that. And now like she's got her first sale literally last night. She's doing other things. Like life is good, but that doesn't mean that there aren't some challenges. I mean, there's more probably BS circulating and that I have to deal with now. I just don't pay attention to it, or I've got people in place. I've trusted them and, have protection too, whether that's with, the business aspect, my heart, conversations, finance, all those things. So I don't know. I'm like, life is good. There's always challenges, but life is good, bro.
Mm. Really, as I said before, really beautiful to hear someone own that. It's powerful. I just want to ask you about mental health. Like I don't want to keep you all night, and it's beautiful to have this conversation. And I could talk all night, but we've all got a lot to do. And November as a month is now really growing as a period of men's mental health and trying to encourage. I know. Do you guys have in America? Do you do Movember where you grow a moustache, or is that a
Yeah,
UK thing?
can't grow a mustache, man.
Okay.
I shaved my facial hair and I've
Okay.
grown it out, and I was like, damn, I look like a little kid. Uh, but we do Movember.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, this is what I need to shave this, but this is what this is about. And it's really not a good look for me, but hey, listen, it's what I'm
Rock.
about, so I'm embracing it. Yeah, yeah. But like, are there you with everything going on in your life, like looking after your mental health is probably, despite the fact you say it's so good. Imagine like you probably also never face challenges like you do right now. So, like
Yeah.
for everyone listening, are there like what are the key tools that you use to kind of keep yourself feeling mentally like in a good place? I know, like I've heard you say a lot about letting go of judgment and things you can't control, and letting go of the need to be perfect. Are
Yeah.
they kind of the fulcrum of what you're about?
Yeah. I think a major thing, especially for mental health, and this is what I've learned over the course of years, is put in put in things that help protect the gateway to your mind and brain. Because like, small things like if you don't see it, you don't think about it as much. Um, and I never want to give something hospice in my brain or emotionally that I know really doesn't have enough, so I think also environment. It's just something I go back to all the time, environment. And that could be your space, your house, your apartment, like a safe space that you can be in, that you can really check out and get away, that when you're there, it's not going to be um, that it's just your space. You can have your time. I think it's great to disconnect and not be afraid to disconnect. Take your time, I think, is a major thing. And then also physical environments, the people that you surround yourself, your community, your difference. It really does, and it makes it easier to drown out any of the noise or some of the other things that we go. I'm always, like I say, environment all the time, and